Alright, so welcome everybody. This is H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. I am your host, Legendary Neurotoxin. To my screen left is Tobran and to my screen right is JT. So we've only got 30 minutes here. Normally I go for 2 hours, but due to circumstances that are awesome, I will definitely not complain about a live stream going on in 30 minutes. I don't think anybody is. But for the little meanwhile here, since we want to do the show anyway, we're going to spend the next little bit while waiting for the show to wrap up, or for the show to start up, I should say, talking about the video from Tuesday and just kind of the terrain tools in general. So we got to see a lot of really awesome stuff with that. The way the terrain is actually, it kind of starts with both procedural and some amount of handworking techniques, and continues to be refined and honed over time, especially as things are going to be put in those areas. They had a lot of reference screenshots and stuff that they were showing, not just shots that you would see of someone looking at the countryside, but also actual like USGS survey data showing the actual height and terrain maps to get that really nice realistic look to it. So they're really doing their homework with this one, and it's just amazing. So what do you guys let me have you guys kind of talk about your I guess your background with Survivor games a little bit real quick, and then we'll continue talking about the subject. So Tobran, why don't you start it off, your experience with Survivor games and zombie games and such.
I really got into the whole like survival type of game. Like, I'd never heard of like a survival game before until like DayZ came out, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. You have to worry about everything, and that's what makes a game awesome. Am I getting hungry? Am I getting tired? I need to like drink. All that kind of stuff just adds together and just creates a whole unique gameplay. And I can't wait for H1Z1 to come out and show what they have to bring to it, because games like Rust, DayZ, they'll have something different about them. I want to see what H1Z1 has to bring to the table.
Yeah. And to echo that point, there's one other thing. Just during the entire little playtest I did at the SOE event, the game was not, am I hungry, am I thirsty, am I being chased? It's, what was that sound? Okay, what was that sound? Okay, now what was that sound? Because they're all these different sounds. They have a really rich, dynamic set of sounds, and with the effects that are applied to them, it's really hard to tell, is that a wolf scratching at the door, or is that a zombie right behind me? Obviously gaining experience with the game will really help out with that sort of thing, but early on I think everybody's just going to be like, we're not sure what the audio cue is. Everyone's just going to be really tense, and especially at night when you really don't have the same kind of awareness. Alright, JT, you why don't you talk about not only your experience with that, but also a little bit of your experience with Walking Dead and other zombie media and such. Ooh, hold on. Let me adjust the audio. I can't hear you very well. The zombie, the H1Z1 website was kind of overwhelming there.
Oh, alright. Well, I'm a huge zombie apocalyptic survival fan. I just really think it does an excellent job of delving into the psyche of the human condition. And it really, like, shows like The Walking Dead really do an excellent job of making you think, what would I do in that situation? There's these people are trying to carve out an existence, trying to carve out humanity in their own types of ways. There is no difference between right and wrong anymore in a world like this. And I just think it's very interesting, because I personally am someone who's extremely interested in human behavior, how humans interact with each other.
Yeah.
When it comes to a world like this, a zombie apocalyptic world, I just think there's a lot of interesting things to study and just be observed there. And when it comes to zombie apocalyptic video games, I think of them as like Walking Dead simulators, essentially. You just get the opportunity to go into a game like that with the mentality of, okay, I'm a survivor in a zombie apocalypse. I don't know. It's great.
Yeah, that's. I'm really excited for that. I mean, that is one of the major elements they're pushing with it. Is the zombies are like a tier 1 threat. They're always a threat, and there's a lot of them. They're the zerglings basically. They're not that smart, but they'll kill you. They'll kill you one on one if you let them. But once you get to the point where they can't kill you because you're aware, and either you've got a team or you've got enough barbed wire and other traps and stuff that they just can't get around to you, then the next set of the kind of tier 2 threat comes up, which is players, the other players, and they're always a threat. There's less of them, but they're way more dangerous and way less predictable.
Definitely. Like the amount of times like you think someone is like this really cool and super awesome guy in like DayZ or Rust or whatever, and they turn around and just absolute backstab and you just sit there like, well played,
And,
good sir, well
that's
played.
just the absolute.
And that's one of the best parts of it though.
Right,
Like I
right.
would never get rid of this element of it because it what makes everything fun. Like fantastic.
Yeah. I can't remember. Was it you and Flatus who I was watching play that one of you found the other one in the building and then axed him in the back by accident?
Yeah, that might have been me. Look, I was trying to pick something up, I misclicked,
Yeah.
hit him in the back. And
Yeah,
he
no,
died,
that's
and
that's
that was
that's
that.
that's one of those like interface failures. It's I'm really hoping that they do a great job with the interface and make sure that sort of stuff, because it's been proven violent video games aren't what makes people violent. Any type of video game can make you violent if the interface is poor. So, if it's making you do things in a way that you're not trying to, intending to do them, or you have to do shortcuts and workarounds to have it do the things you're trying to do.
And it's really nice to see SOE going with developing a video game with a much more adult theme to it. I've heard the developers in various interviews, during the 12-hour stream and stuff, just really excited at the fact that they get to create this game that is very adult themed and deals with adult feelings, humors, and just concepts.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's get on to talking about terrain here a little bit. So the video was pretty awesome. It was pretty in depth. It showed off how the terrain is generated. That it's really taking realistic, real life features and being used to create a kind of spot of the world that seems like it actually could exist, or could in the future exist if one of these sorts of events actually happened. So that's that being said, you can see it's not like wild and overgrown. It's once again weeks and months from the event happening, so the effects of civilization upon nature still haven't been overturned by the previous 15 years that they had been stating. So it's pretty cool. There's stuff that's built up, there's stuff that you can access, but it's the terrain is not just the kind of the thing in between one settlement and another, one point of interest to another, but the terrain itself is going to be a huge obstacle that people are going to have to either deal with or use as their advantage.
Right, and we totally saw that in the official reveal. Like they were driving around in this Jeep and they ended up crashing it inside of a hill, creating this like totally not what they were supposed to do, but it changed the area around them. Like they were like, oh, we're supposed to do that. Oh no, what do we do? Like if there's another player there, they're gonna hear a big explosion on the side of a hill. They're gonna see that, and that's what makes it. Like they're gonna see that area rather than like in the bottom of valley or something. It's
Yeah,
players'
I think
positioning that's gonna make it.
Yeah, when it comes to the map's development, I think it's extremely important to have not only a huge map that it's not easy to reference everything that you come across after only a couple of days of gameplay,
Yeah.
and just the entire idea of scouting out a place to reside for an extended period of time. Like, oh, there's a little tiny defilade over there that I can put a tent, and that's pretty safe from people for a while. I may be more prone to zombies, but when it comes to people, I'm pretty safe over here. it'd be really nice to see people making those kind of decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's that'll be stuff. It's it's all at this point still kind of speculation on what we'll be able to do and how we'll be able to do it. But they're definitely taking cues from The Walking Dead and various other shows and media that we've seen out there in games. So it's gonna be if you can think about things logically and position yourself logically, you can probably be doing a lot better than someone who's just like, oh, I'm just gonna create a fire right here because it's nighttime and just try to wait it out. Not gonna happen.
Just wait out the zombie apocalypse, guys. It'll be fine. Just wake me up when it's all over.
Exactly. Yeah, that's now. They've talked about like trees and having them lined up. Now the way that they kind of showed them, very much what I would expect from kind of rural environments where you've got roads and you've got just trees lining the road, so that way there's something to look at on these vast stretches of distance. So that can provide a lot of advantages. I mean, you can tell where people have been because you can see the trees have been cut down or worked on in those areas recently. Or it could be one of those things where you just you and your buddies kind of light every fourth tree on fire, and you just have a giant wall of fire just because. Maybe that's the thing you guys do every Friday night.
Yeah, I see a lot of people complaining on the Reddit of all the disadvantages to building a base, and I'm just thinking to myself, this map is going to be pretty big. It's not going to be the easiest thing to just come across people's bases. It's going to be if people are coming across your base day in and day out, setting it on fire. It's every time you log on, it's burnt down to the ground. And I think that's something that you're doing wrong. Maybe you need to rethink your strategy, rechange some of the decisions you're making in order to have a safer environment for yourself.
Yeah, Diggs, you're right. Arkansas is just kind of a flat plain. From the radio stuff, though, they were talking about like a lot of Ohio and then a bit of Nashville at some point. So a lot of that area, I mean, what's his name? Double D covered a really big area in the stuff that we got to hear. So we might have some areas that are a bit on the flatter side. We might have some areas that are a lot more green and it's full of trees. Yeah, and they talked about not just the natural terrain, but other things that have been placed. Roads and power lines are going to be things that you're going to be able to follow, and they're built into the terrain. The power lines are designed in such a way they're not just haphazardly thrown down. They're thrown down in such a way that if someone was actually trying to plan a community there, those would be the most logical place to put the power lines.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the same way in DayZ as well. You could follow the power lines to get to civilization and creeks and things like that, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I have a question. What are you guys looking forward to seeing at the 5:30 p.m. live stream that they're going to do?
I really don't know, but they say H1Z1 gameplay and giveaways, so that giveaways part is what I'm kind of excited about.
I honestly, I'm just more excited about the gameplay. Like we've seen a fair amount, but we want to see more. Like, let's be real. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We just want to see everything about this game. Like,
definitely.
Great.
I mean, I'm really just interested to see how far they've come since that 12-hour stream. This is still they can turn some development speed around, so I'm interested.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting seeing the kind of prototype version with just piles of rusted out cars in the middle of intersections, compared to the what we're going to see now, which is going to be a hell of a lot less of that. There might still be a bunch of piles of cars in intersections, but they should be in a hell of a lot better condition.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. When it comes to the vehicles in this game, I really want to come across, since they changed it from it's not 15 years after anymore. It's just
weeks to months. Yeah.
So what I really want to see is I want to see realistically a crap ton of cars, okay? Some of them in working condition, others not. The thing that I want to be rare is gasoline and fuel.
Hmm.
You know, when it comes to the cars, you can go with the realism. You can go with the realism side of it. You know, you can be like, there's a car there. There's 10 cars in my eyesight right now, but you know, most of them don't work or none of them work. So you know, we have to do what we can to get along. But you know, I think that would be a great way to portray realism while at the same time, um, you know, keeping the game from breaking without having a bunch of cars everywhere you go.
Right, right. And I figure that's going to be one person's actually suggested gasoline as a currency, and that makes a lot of sense.
Gasoline and bullets.
Yeah,
those would do great as currencies.
pretty much.
Just don't mix them together. That could be horrible. You know.
Or it could be quite effective. You know,
It depends who you're giving it to, and if you want it back by the end. You know.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways to make this sort of material, real crude ways. One of the fellows I was talking with on the Reddit group, and his name escapes me, unfortunately. He was saying about, yeah, you know, I know all sorts of these survival techniques. Not only had he been a medic in the military, and learned a lot from that, but he had talked about all sorts of fun stuff, experimenting like. You know, if you take one type of round, saw off the end, and put a little plus on it, it becomes a different type of round. But he was saying that if you take a pile of hay, you piss on it, you let it just rot and ferment, the material that results is apparently some sort of crude explosive, like some sort of crude, like gunpowder, basically. You're going to be able to make crappy bullets with it, but you're going to be able to make plenty effective, like dynamite and large explosives.
Yeah,
So,
I'm really looking forward to the things that you'll be able to craft that are just sort of rudimentary, you know, not something that you can craft and, dominate the whole server with it, something that's, you can put together quick to survive and, something that you may not even get too many uses out of, but you crafted it. That'd be pretty cool.
The number one thing I look for in a game is utility items. Like, you can have a gun, you can have a sword, but the more fun things are usually things like you find they don't really have much uses, but when you do find a use for it, it's the funnest thing around. Like, there are some like ridiculous items out there, and like DayZ, I found you could make a backpack using an old T-shirt, sticks, and something else I totally forgot. But if you give a player that type of imagination, we can go like everywhere with this type of stuff. Like you make backpacks out of like stuff. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, and that experience carries with you as a player. You can then take that knowledge to other players if you'd like and go, hey, I know how to do this thing. I know how to do that thing. And you become, as a character, more beneficial to the world.
Now, I guess the counter to that, though, is the idea of somebody, once everything is potentially known, that someone can, have memorized every wiki entry and just, like, be a walking knowledge machine and pretty much feel like they've kind of beaten the game. Is that the sort of thing that should be possible, or is it the sort of thing that there should constantly be more and more and more content and more ways to do things? So, people can know a lot, but no one will ever really know every, recipe and every technique and every way to, start from scratch and build up real quickly.
Well, let's say a game like Minecraft that has an extensive crafting system, and there are like 9-year-olds who have memorized every single crafting recipe in that. That game is mega popular.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
true.
I don't mean to be mean to all these like 9-year-olds, but say seriously to get life. There's like over 400 recipes, and they know them all. It's like, how do you do this? Like, I can't memorize my own phone number. These guys are like, oh yeah, it's sword, boom, there you go. But the crafting system, but every month they seem to add a patch, and it adds like a new 5 recipes, and that leads on to another 10 or so items. Now, system like that, all for that monthly patch to add new items, I'm in.
Well,
right.
when it comes to crafting items in a video game, people are going to learn everything. After a certain extent, people are going to learn it all, and it's just going to become this. Sorry about the background noise. It's going to come to this point where you can create and build it all. But the thing is the persistence and the the permadeath. Once you die, you lose it all. You can have all the knowledge from today till tomorrow. If you don't have the supplies on hand, you're going to be pretty useless. So I mean, sure, it may be beneficial to know how to make and create everything, but if you can't get a hold of these resources through, combat means, then you're pretty much still as useless as the guy that doesn't know anything.
Right, that's true. And there is more to the whole aspect of survival than just combat. Combat's only, it's I would say it's the formula for a good movie is not action, 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 but when you have the action scenes, they're actually meaningful and they're actually memorable because there was the build up to that point and the results of it, and then the build up to the next fight scene and the results to it. But it isn't like the Matrix where it's like fighting with a little silly dialogue interspersed, and then ends with him being raised up by robots or whatever. That's anyway, let's get back on terrain here for a little bit. I'm still watching the official show. It still hasn't started up yet, so we can pretty much keep on going until they get rolling.
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Alright. So I guess one other thing to mention real quick, they had showed off some of the with the tools that the world is expansive, that it can go pretty much as far as they want or need it to. It's real easy. It's just as a matter of kind of telling it to, but that's in terms of just generating the world, the actual fine detail, and taking what's been generated and turning it into something that looks truly realistic. That still wouldn't, it'd still have to be constantly touched on and iterated. It is possible to have games where the entire world is procedurally generated, buildings and all. 3089 is an example. I think Soldier of Fortune 2 actually had a procedural level editor. So they've talked about it's not just going to be this one small segment and that's it. It's going to keep expanding slowly over time, giving us access to more areas, and in those areas they'll have regional differences. One that I had talked about at the H1Z1 event was maybe one place has an anvil factory. So the hilarious results, and everybody getting anvils and those being distributed throughout the world and getting to the farthest reaches. Or cable spools is another thing. So you're gonna say something, Tobran?
Yeah, I just imagine this guy like going down the road, dragging his anvil behind him, like, yeah, I'll get it there. Don't worry, guys, don't worry. Dragging it across this road, like, yeah, it's gonna get there. It's gonna make me so much money. No problem. I will be that guy.
See, I would be more interested in seeing who's actually gonna rig up the full-on Acme set of traps or whatever that it's all everything's timed up. So what was that, JT? I can't hear your mic got quiet.
Oh, no.
There we go.
I really just want the entire world and the entire environment to tell a story. It's DayZ. Whenever I'm walking around DayZ or whenever I'm going into a house, I always feel like there's knocked over chairs and a few blood splatters and everything, but that doesn't really make me sit there and wonder, wow, what happened here? I really want to turn a corner or go into a building where there's corpses, there's gore, there's dead bodies. Something happened here, and little things like that add huge levels of immersion.
Like those, like 1 in 100.
Oh.
Go ahead.
No, let you go.
Okay, I was gonna say like 1 in 100 houses you'll go into, or 1 in 1,000 or something, where it looks like the person just took their own life, or that and their family or something, and so different consequences and different stuff that you'll find in there. So I'm loading video on the H1Z1 broadcast, but it'll probably be a few minutes before they get active. Tobran, what were you gonna say there?
I was gonna say, like, I remember playing Bioshock 2 for the first time like you walk into a building in there, you'll find like someone sitting beside a phone with a gun, like a gun next to them, and just a dead skeleton. And you're like, what happened? I want to know more. And if you spend time in the room, you can like find little clues and stuff that like kind of tell you more of a story, and that's amazing. There's like 50 of these like hidden Easter eggs throughout like one level. There's like 20 levels or so. Like it's like a whole day of like fun, like ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I would spend time.
And all you did was walk into a room. You know?
Exactly, and I want to know more. It's amazing.
And I think of games like Doom 3 and even Rogue Legacy is another example, but just games where there's things you can learn from items you can find in the world, but the difference is maybe you only collect them once, you only find them once, so you might not necessarily be able to destroy them, but you can only get that knowledge, and then as people start to kind of collaborate on all of the knowledge that everybody's found, maybe you'll find more information on what really happened with Poveglia and Kurama Pharmaceuticals and all of that stuff, because that's all really big stuff that they've shown us in the radio.
Yeah, Survivor Radio was huge, man. The amount of lore that they gave us, and sometimes even they portrayed game features. They talked about how the cities are just packed with zombies, and they're just not safe to go in anymore. And I'm just thinking, wow, that's how it's going to be in game. That's the way I thought about it.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's it. It's going to be great seeing how that all plays out. Okay. See, still I can see people sitting down and moving back there, but we still have a little bit of time here. So was there any other stuff in particular you guys wanted to say about the terrain stuff? The design of it, the look of it, the functionality of it. They've talked about wanting to have underground stuff. They've wanted that in PlanetSide 2 for a while as well, so either it'll be some sort of hack job version where you've got large props covering the open space, or they'll actually be able to figure out the legit non-voxel caves and underground stuff for the Forge Light engine, because it's easy to do it in Landmark, but it's a little bit of a different story doing it in PlanetSide 2 or H1Z1.
Yeah, I just hope they do an excellent job of spacing everything out, making sure that stuff isn't so crammed or so repeated to the point where,
they're live.
The world gets boring.
Oh, probably should have thought that through. But
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, this is time to get going. So thank you very much for joining me. JT, Tobran, you guys are both awesome. I'm going to make this a quick sign-off. Thank you very much, everybody. Join the H1Z1 broadcast. I'll put the link here if you aren't already linked up to it. Whoops. There you go. All right, go. See you later. Have a good one.
See you later.